It's time for us to see the headlines now. A lot of issues on the front pages of newspapers across Nigeria. Let's begin with Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper says, Buhari's sucker punch to APC governors. I will pick my successor. That is what is on the front page of the Vanguard. And it has some riders there. It says governors were given re-election tickets or allowed to choose their successors. Adds, we must choose someone that will give us victory. That's what the president said. And president, he jets to Spain with governors, ministers to perfect plan. Okay, that's the Vanguard newspaper. Daily Trust is next. Buhari woos APC governors over choice of successor. Move not president's agenda. Sources are saying this. Why he allows many contenders to compete. Yerima is offering his own opinion there. President can't force own choice on Nigerians. CSOs are saying the civil society organizations. All right. The Nation newspaper says Buhari seeks APC governors' support to pick successor. We want a candidate that can win. Governors meeting on president's proposal deadlocked. Okay, that's on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Now let's go to the Nigerian Tribune. I need your support in picking my successor, Buhari tells APC governors. Okay, that's what the Nigerian Tribune says. Let's go to Daily Sun. It says Buhari meets governors, gives hint of a preferred successor. Okay, one's candidate who will win election, and says the outcome must portray party's positive quality on democratic principle. Underline the word democratic principles, culture, and leadership. Embarks on a state visit to Spain. All right, that's the Daily Sun. From there, let's go to the Punch. Presidency says search for strong consensus candidate. Buhari directs APC governors. Says that the chosen one must be nationally acceptable, possess electoral value, and president didn't disclose his favorite. Nasarawa governor is saying this. He's trying to put it straight so he's not quoted out of context. Akeredolu backs consensus, and APC governors in a strategic meeting as Oyegun grills Oshibajo, Lawan, Bello, and others. All right, all this went down yesterday. Okay, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Buhari's choice of presidential candidate unsettles APC governors. That is what the Guardian says. And some writers there, president seeks to take charge in selecting party's flag bearer, jets off to Spain, governors begin deliberation after meeting Buhari. Lawan okays Buhari's choice of candidate. Oshibajo has all it takes to succeed, Buhari says Ojudu. And the crisis deepens as key National Working Committee members threaten to reject party's decision on flag bearers and others. Okay, that's the Guardian newspaper. All right, not also forgetting that, the National Working Committee, there are some issues coming in from there. We'll certainly look at that maybe as we get along. First News is next. It says, on 2023, why I must pick my successor. Buhari is quoted, President Buhari is quoted as saying this. And some writers there says, it urges governors, stakeholders to give him a free hand to anoint APC presidential candidate, reveals a quality party's presidential flag bearer must possess. And APC governors hold closed-door meeting after session with the president. Okay, then let's move to Nigeria News Direct. Consensus plan, shock, as Buhari begs governors to pick preferred presidential candidate. Tinubu unstoppable in APC presidential politics. Okay, there's a Berugi saying this. And the president has told us his ideal successor. Governor Sule is saying this. Adamu gagging, blackmailing us in Buhari's name. National Working Committee's members are crying out on this. That's what the News Direct puts. That's what it says. The Daily Times is next. 2023 conditions APC presidential candidate must meet by Buhari and seeks support of APC governors to pick a successor. Right? Blueprint newspaper is next, and it says Buhari to APC governors, stakeholders, allow me pick my successor. assures consultations will bring anxiety under control. Governors meet, ponder over president's position, and Jonathan absent, Osinbajo, Akpabio, Lawan, Okorocha, others screened. I'm ready to do Buhari's bidding. Lawal is quoted as saying this. National Working Committee members tackle Adamu, allege one-man show. That's what the Blueprint newspaper says. Leadership is next, and he says, in final push for consensus, PMB says, I will choose my successor, as President Muhammadu Buhari asks progressive governors to support the anointed one. Party crisis deepens. Vice Chairman Kekemeke Lukman move against Adamu and accuse him of rendering the National Working Committee members redundant, taking decisions unilaterally. All right, Osinbajo, Lawan, Bello, Fayemi, Ayade, Onu, Jack Rich, Okorocha, 2 others screened. All that happened yesterday. This Nigeria is next. APC presidential primary. Allow me pick my successor. Buhari is saying this. Lobbies 22 APC governors. Our chairman, Adamu, running a one-man show, says the National Working Committee members of the APC. That's what this Nigeria has. National economy is next, and he says professionals raise concerns as Treasury custodians fail integrity tests. All right, that's the national economy. And business day is the last one we're looking at now. He's talking about debt servicing or debt service. Nigeria edges closer to Lebanon crisis as IMF sees debt service swallowing revenues by 2026. A lot of experts have said that the constant, earmarking of money to pay debts is not sustainable for the economy at all. All right, now let's look at these issues here. I would like to see things from different perspectives, though. But let me seek your opinion. Now, some persons have said that the president calling on governors to meet to say, please allow me pick my successor, is a recognition of the power of the governors to upturn anything he comes up with.
It's a recognition of his own power. To summon the governor.
Oh, I see.
It's a recognition of his own power to whisper, and then it will sound like a roar. That is a recognition of the fact that I don't have to force it before I get it. It's a recognition of the fact that I can force it without appearing to force it. It's a recognition that I used to be a general. It's a recognition that I gave you the chairman. It's a recognition that all you governors are here and subject to me, even though we're in a democracy. It's a recognition of the fact that before I became a Democrat, I was a general. It's a recognition of the fact that I gave you decree number 2, I gave you decree number 4.
Wow. So it means there are lots of interpretations to this.
Yes.
There are, but I don't think the fact that he's a general or he was a general, would make him, come and wield this power that some may say he suddenly has. Because when you look at even the governors who govern, their respective states, and we saw, like you also noted, and Sam also noted that, of course, they also wielded that much power. If they were the ones, being president, they probably would also try to give decisions, critical decisions as this. But my concern now is the controversy even within the party as to, the consensus candidate. If the president comes out with a name, well, the Electoral Act is clear, even though we still have an indecision now, so to speak, because he hasn't even signed what will be the final document. So the party is clear, so to some have said, the act is also clear as to what would make for a consensus candidate. So it really, I would want to see how all these 20-something aspirants now would, agree to a consensus candidate. Is it likely? I don't know.
Well, the point there is the party had adopted the indirect primaries at the time, but with the president, the way he's tilting, of course, the law allows that you can do direct primaries or do indirect primaries or even a consensus situation. So from the president's
body
from
language.
the meeting and body language, it looks likely that maybe there could be a situation of consensus here.
But consensus means, according to the Act, everybody saying
Must
yes.
right,
Yes.
absolutely.
And it means if one person says, I don't agree, they can't
There
be
is no
successors.
consensus, absolutely.
So he didn't use the expression consensus in that speech. That's why I say he was talking less like a Democrat, but like a general. You know, he didn't use the word consensus. He says, you know, we want to do these things democratically. We want to ensure continuity. We want to ensure that the most popular person wins. In spite of all of that, I am the one that can decide who should continue what we have done. I am the one who should decide what is democratic. So it's democracy by definition of one man, not a democracy by the definition of the
party,
majority.
right.
Yeah, so that's it. So how are they going to really prosecute this without falling foul of the law? Because by coming out himself, without doing it by stealth, if he did it by stealth, quietly, and people followed it by wink, by body language,
Implication, right?
and so on.
Impliedly or
If they did it that
right.
way, then some people will just start stepping down and then they will vote in a particular way. But since he has said it, he has fallen foul of the act already. Because if people start, if somebody says, I am going to stand up against it, they might fall foul of the electoral law and eventually nullify, even if the person wins the presidency, nullify the ticket. So what he said with his mouth, with his speech that yesterday with the governors, has legal implications. I would like to know what lawyers will say about this. But he has himself violated the consensus rule by saying so. That is, if only one person says, no, I don't agree to it, and they go ahead with it, they can put the they can hold the president's word as evidence that they violated the constitution.
At least one key front runner. We've seen at least one, who have said he insists now that he wants the race to be open, open and free.
Yes.
So already they've made their, and I heard that was even part of the deliberations during the screening exercise on Monday and Tuesday. Some have said they will pander to the wishes of the president. Some have, made a loud decision that they would rather the election be free and open.
Free and open.
Yeah.
I'm sure the president is going to hit a brick wall with this, because whoever advised him put him into a cul-de-sac. If he wanted to do it, he didn't have to say it. He just had to have done it. You have to have achieved consensus by stealth, not by approbation or by announcement.
Well,
so that's what has happened. And I'm sure legal people will now come out and
to
tell
read the
them
interpretations to all of these. Now, the
yes.
point there is, with the president being the leader of the political party,
Right.
and we all know remembered how the national chairman emerged, where everybody stood behind the
Eventually,
president.
right.
The
Yes.
president, anointed someone, and everybody stood behind him. I believe the president also wants a situation like that, where he comes up with someone and everybody stands behind him, where in his own wisdom, it reduces anxiety, reduces a lot of tension and so on.
And then I realized that you're using the examples of governors. Governors deal with Lilliputians in their states. You are talking of people who have been governors, who are hefty by their own rights. And you want to push them out. They're not chairmen. People running for chairmen of parties are not like people running for presidential tickets. They are hefty men. They have stealth. They have war chest. And they are ready for war. And they have the chest for war. So I think that whoever advised him did not calculate the trap force or the booby traps on the way. Because he's coming out to say it, that this is what I want to do. He has put himself as evidence to the court of the people, to the court of law, that I am about to violate a sacred part of this arrangement.
Well, I believe members of the party will be looking at all of the implications and so on.
Yes.
What is even more interesting again is that add this to the mix. So now the president has, entered the controversy about whether indeed the party should go the way of, one consensus now.
Consensus.
Add another, interesting fact now or twist. The controversies even within the NWC.
Yes.
Now
That's
here,
another.
over the weekend,
Yes.
the vice chairman or deputy national chairman, and now we have, the southern deputy national chairman also,
Yes.
having a say that
It's running a one-man
you,
show.
Mr. Adamo, you're not carrying the others along, and you're using the president as a form of blackmail. Form of blackmail. I never expected this, even though so many
Especially
things have been
not so
happening.
soon.
So not so soon, when all eyes will be on the APC, and of course not forgetting that the stage they're currently on, now that they've finished the screening or so, is like the third time they would be having this, or they would have fixed the date. Okay, so fine, this has now held, but one would have thought that all these gray areas would have been sorted out before now, and definitely not be put on the public gallery.
Yeah. Well, we'll look. The point there is, like you said, it's quite early to have this issue, because in the minds of Nigerians who are watching, it is expected that at times like this, all members of the National Working Committee are together, driving, especially knowing what is at stake at this time and all of that. Now, from the governor's meeting yesterday, there were the issues of, like he was saying, governors have the war chest, they have interest, and all of that. And there was the experiment of, okay, can we produce two candidates to the president, one from the south, one from the north, so that he can select one, out of us. But others were saying it mustn't be amongst governors. It can be anybody, because the point there is those who were screened, it wasn't only governors that were screened. There are so many other people out there, and those were the things they couldn't agree on, that they had to. The meeting was deadlocked.
That's why I was saying that. So they turned the screening into a charade. So it's not about screening, but it's about screening out. Because, it's like everybody gathered together, we want to do a ceremony, and somebody comes and says, actually, there's no ceremony. I am the ceremony.
Interesting indeed.
All right. Now, this is some of the headlines on the papers today, and I know that Nigerians are following also with their own interpretations regarding all of these that are coming up.